Hi, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to put different animations together to produce one larger animation. So we're going to really combine some of the things that we've used in earlier tutorials to make a new animation. So the first thing that I think we'll do is look at what we've got here. All I've got here is the simple frame tween animation that you'll recognize from the first tutorial. And what I thought we could do was to turn this animation into more of a complete face and combine it with a shape tween of a mouth. If we're going to work with different objects and combine things together, we need to use layers, and layers are very important. The simple rule is that every different object that you want to add to a canvas and that you want to work with needs to go on a separate layer. If you add new objects to the same layer, you will end up with difficulties. It will become very difficult to work out what you're doing, and your animation will not work properly. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some other layers to this, and you might find before the end of this tutorial that you understand the principle of what I'm doing, and you don't need to finish watching it. That's fine if that's the case. So this little button here that looks like a page curled over is the new layer tool, and I can click on that and I add a new layer there. Now as soon as I start adding multiple layers, my advice to you is to name them. So if I double click on this layer there, I'm going to call that one left eye, and then I'm going to create another layer there, right eye, and then I'm going to create a third layer which I'm going to call mouth. And what I'm going to do in a minute is I'm going to add another set of objects to the right eye timeline, and then you'll see what we've got in terms of an animation. And I'll just pause the video, add those, and then we'll pick it up again in a minute. Okay, so you can see hopefully what I've done here. I've added another eye. I've added right eye, which is exactly the same kind of animation that we had for the left eye, and you can see that all that is another simple blinking eye in that part of the screen. And then I've also added a layer that I've called outline, and this isn't going to animate, but this is the shape of the head, the nose, and some eyebrows just to fill it out a bit. And then I've got a top layer here called mouth, and that object there is the mouth that I've drawn on the mouth layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a few keyframes to try and create the simple illusion of a speaking mouth. Now remember that I'm not an award-winning animator, so the quality of my animation isn't going to be fantastic, but it will show you the principle of what I'm trying to do. I'm just going to put some keyframes in at various times here. An animator doing this in real life would obviously have watched somebody's speech patterns and watched how their mouth moved. And all I'm going to do then is I'm going to change how I want it to animate in each frame. So I'm going to just go, I'm just going to change the shape of the mouth slightly every time. And then there I'm going to bring that so I'm not doing this in a very scientific way, you'll notice. All I'm really doing is just showing you how it would work, and already it's apparent hopefully that it's a much more complicated animation perhaps than some of the ones that we've done before, and you can see why the more elements you add, the more important it is that you identify the layers and you name them so you know what you're doing. Right, I'm just going to put some simple shape tweens in on this layer here, so I get some illusion at least that my little person is talking, and I actually want the mouth to change position gradually rather than just flicking from one frame to the next. Oh, I haven't added a keyframe at the end, that's why I've got the broken tween. There we go, that's fixed that. Right, so if I run that now, you've got a working animation of a little fella, and all I've done there is I've combined two types of tween. I've got two frame tweens, right eye, left eye and right eye. I have another layer which contains an outline, and this doesn't animate but it contains another part of the drawing, and I've isolated that from the other layers so I don't interfere with it when I'm trying to work with the bits I'm animating. And then I've got a layer called mouth, which has a number of different frames which are all shape tweened. So I could have done anything I wanted. I could have had moving eyes, which I'd used with motion tweens. I could have done a variety of different tricks there. And the important thing is to put each element on a different layer. Make sure that you add names to each layer. And the final point is you notice that the animation all finished there. If I don't have the frames finishing at the same time, then elements will disappear. So if I hadn't added for the outline a keyframe there, even though it doesn't do anything, I want the outline to stay on the screen for all 40 frames. So why don't you try having a go at, for instance, drawing and animating a simple face like I have there. Perhaps try moving eyes or rolling eyes if you want to see how that might work with a motion tween, and see how you get on with combining different things together. Good luck and have fun.